going on here?
Not a lot, man. You know, the world is ending. Horrible
Oh no.
thing. It's bad.
Damned if we do, damned if we don't.
Pretty much. Man, today has been gloomy, boy. I don't know what's going on.
What happened?
Today. No, it's just like today's a really gloomy day. It's all gray outside, but it's not raining. But it's super humid, so it's not like it's even chilly.
Oh, I thought you meant like in the world, because we started it off saying it's the end of the world.
That's every day.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But I meant more along the weather. You know, the weather's kind of matching the mood today. At least on my side.
I wasn't aware you meant it literally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's pretty good over here. I just went for a little walk. It's pretty hot.
That's nice. That's very nice. It's very nice that you could go out for a walk during the apocalypse. I guess it could be a worse apocalypse.
That's true. That's like when I feel unsafe to leave my house, that's when I know that shit's like really, really bad.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, in other towns and other cities, it kind of does feel that way.
With everything that's been going on, yeah, for sure. Oh boy. I mean, it's kind of hard to not, how do you say, just like transition.
Are you chewing on something there?
I'm
you
chewing
smacking?
on a little piece of candy.
Oh, that's delicious.
Just a little sweet.
Get that shit out of your mouth, boy. We're doing a professional podcast here.
Okay, there we go. It's kind of hard not to transition into the doom and gloom of what's been happening recently, but I feel like that's been a lot of our podcasts recently, so straying away from that for a little bit. Let's have some happy thoughts. Let's have some.
Yeah, I mean, like, was there any good news this week?
No, Nintendo had to ruin today by fucking announcing that they're gonna do Super Mario 3D Classic Pack Extraordinaire.
Why does that ruin it?
Because it's $60
for a 60-year-old game.
For 3 60-year-old games, and they're not even like remasters or remakes. It's just
remaster, yeah.
They're just ports, like HD ports. And
I feel the exact same, or that exact way, bro. Like, I was expecting some that blew my mind. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Wind Waker remake they did a while ago for the Wii U.
Yeah.
Which was, like, beautiful. It's still, like, one of the best remakes, in my opinion. But now we just got ports.
And for $60, dude, just for comparison, the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy wasn't even $60. The Spyro Remake Trilogy wasn't even $60. And there were complete full remakes of the games, not ports.
Yep.
Why does Nintendo do this?
I don't know, but Nintendo fans continue to
gobble
blindly, eat it up, so...
It's just like, that's why I've never been a big Nintendo shill ever at all. Like, the last time I could ever say that I was really on a Nintendo wagon was when I was a literal child. After I started having an actual concept of just like quality returns for your investments, I was just like, I'm not a big fan of Nintendo, I gotta say.
I thought you were gonna say once you develop to be able to think.
Yeah, once you actually have some kind of cohesion and cognitive sense and common sense, you kind of start to realize that Nintendo, although they all their games warm the hearts of many nostalgic fans, they're kind of a bunch of corporate shills.
Yeah. I feel like I tweeted about it and I said let me see exactly what I said, because I was like, basically I expected, a full remakes, but I mean, I guess it's cool for people that haven't somehow played those games yet, if they have a Switch, but they weren't. Because I feel like the Switch, a lot of, like, people that weren't previously Nintendo fans, they got a Switch, because it's, like, kind of like the Wii back in the day. So if somehow people haven't seen or played, Sunshine, which the GameCube wasn't the most popular console, so I could see a lot of people maybe missed out on that one. But still, $60 for, like, not even remakes feels like it should have been maybe, like, I don't know, 40 even would be more reasonable. Doesn't seem like that big a deal, but
it would, because it's literally just ports of 3 very, very, very old games, man. Like, the most recent one was what, Sunshine, and that still came out like
Galaxy. I was literally looking it up.
It came out in 2007. Separately from the 3 games? Like there's one pack that brings the 3 games, and then Galaxy is like completely separate, isn't it?
No. So Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy are in the pack.
Oh.
Galaxy 2 is not in it.
Oh,
and it's not even announced or at all. Like, they're not porting it yet.
Okay.
What they're doing separately is Mario 3D World, which was for the Wii U. So that one came out just like maybe less than 10 years ago. So.
Okay, yeah. So Galaxies is the most recent one.
Yeah, and that was 2007. I just looked it up. So it's still pretty old at this point. Like, I could have had a 13-year-old child by this time, you know? A middle schooler.
Wait, hold on. I'm getting some breaking news. Uh-oh.
What?
Robert Pattinson has coronavirus.
Wait, what?
I just got like a text message from Raph telling me like, hey, you're doing the podcast right now, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, breaking news, Robert Pattinson has coronavirus.
Oh, that's definitely that's definitely the best segue I've ever seen.
Stop! No! Don't take him away from me! Oh, no. No, please.
The Bitman.
No.
Mr. Bitman.
Oh.
Maybe putting on a movie production wasn't the best idea during this pandemic.
The Batman halts filming as Robert Pattinson tests positive for coronavirus.
Bruh, that sucks.
Oh.
Doesn't that mean that like everyone in that production might have it now?
Maybe. Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
Not Robbie Patty. Not Bob.
What are we gonna do?
What's wrong with 2020, dude? Really, it's out to get us. Like, and just not too long ago, I don't know if you heard the news with Chadwick Boseman.
I know, dude. That shit really hurt.
That hit me like a truck, dude.
I was streaming at the time, and like someone like kept asking me like if I'm a fan of the MCU, but they weren't saying like why. They just kept asking, and then I finally answered, and he said, "Well, Black Panther's dead." And I'm like, well, that was definitely a weird way to announce that, but way. Jesus.
Dude, when I heard it, I don't know. I couldn't believe it. Like my Raph, again, the one who told me about Robert Pattinson, told me about Chadwick Boseman. I'm just like, there's no way. That has to be one of those hoaxes because he was so young. He was like,
I know, dude. It definitely sounds like it'd be fake news. Like, and especially because he never like revealed it. Understandably so.
Yeah.
Like,
and
it really came out of nowhere, man.
It came out of nowhere, and it was just a huge shock because he's such an icon now, and the Black Panther film is such an icon, and then just losing that out of nowhere, it kind of sends you reeling, you know? Puts in...
Fuck, dude. Like, I literally said at the beginning, was there any good news this week? That slipped my mind. There really was just terrible news this week.
Because it's just like the importance not only of that film, but him specifically, and all the other films that he's been in that have been such good representation for the Black community. And now that's something he in my opinion, you know, if this unfortunate tragedy didn't happen, like he would have gone down in history as like an icon. When it comes to that kind of stuff, and losing that potential, and losing such like a young life just out of nowhere like that,
yeah,
it sent me reeling, and I'm sure it sent a lot of people reeling, and it's just what more.
I feel though that like even though this is very tragic, he's still gonna go down he did go down now as a legend.
Of course, like that. You know, that can't be taken away, but you can't help but just wish, you know, that this didn't have to happen. Man. And it's...
But, like, I guess because I know maybe you read all about it, but it was, like, the last few movies that he did, I think he'd been diagnosed for a while. Yeah, so, like, basically his last, like, 10 movies.
2016, I think it was, or 2015. So, for a long time already. So, he had it.
So, the whole process of Black Panther, yeah, he already had it. And... that adds to like his story of like how
the strength,
I guess, I forget the word, but like the strength basically to go through that and like do these big action movies too. It's not like he was just doing like little dramas where he just has to stand, you know. It's I'm forgetting the word. Someone literally put it so well, but yeah, dude, I don't. It's very sad, but at the same time, it like he definitely will go down as like
it's
literally a real life hero.
It's just an inspiring tragedy because it's kind of just like this guy. He was such an icon, and a lot of messages he sent were so important. And for him to have done all this while he was going through something so awful that like God only knows what he was going through, because obviously we didn't know, and it was only revealed until after his death. But God could only imagine the pain and the grief that him and his family had to go through, and for him to still stay that strong and still convey these messages of like, fighting the good fight, not giving up, doing what needs to be done, working hard, and living every day like it's like your last day. And that puts it a lot more into context, considering it's just like it left me thinking a lot, dude. You kind of like, I say this a lot. It's like, it's one of the messages I like carry myself with throughout life every day. It's just like, you never know what you've got until it's gone. It's so easy when you're living life and you're going through days to lose value over the little things. Just the simple fact that you're still alive and you still have the chance to make a change. And like, these are the kinds of things that unfortunately put that into context and remind us of just like, look at the people around you, look at everything you have, the things you care for, the people you care for, and recognize that this could be the last time. You never know when it's the last time, and you really got to make shit count, man, because God, you never know. You're never ready. You never know what's going to happen. So you really got to treat it like if tomorrow's the last time you're ever going to see this person or being able to do this thing. Or, I'm going on a tangent, but that's basically what it is, man. And it's...
No, I completely agree, dude. Like, I'm freaking terrible at putting things into words. Like, as you guys that watch the podcast every episode might know, but like... I feel that that's so inspiring, even not just to people that might be going through like, something as horrible as cancer too, but even like just other people to push themselves to do the best every day as if like literally it's your last day. Or even for me personally, like to try to reach out to like my grandparents, for example, as often as I can or more often, because you never really know, man, especially with how the situation in the world right now.
What's going on. Yeah.
It's really sad, dude. Like, we've lost so many legends that, like, there was Kobe too earlier in the year. I saw a lot of like fan arts of like them together, and it's just like people that were so inspiring to like black people and like just, I mean, everyone in general, but specifically to black people.
Yep.
And to lose him like so young, it is really, really sad.
It's sad, dude. This year has been a year of a lot of forced change. I mean, not just lost loved ones and lost peoples and lost icons, but lost opportunities and lost plans. It's been a rough fucking year, and it's so easy to give into that despair. And I feel like, Chadwick himself and the messages that he spoke, and then this unfortunate end of his it's kind of like its own little light in the darkness that reminds us that, shit can be bad and shit can get worse and all that stuff, but you just have to. You basically got to force yourself, because it's the only way to just, like, keep on, Because if you don't, then, like, what else is there? If you give into the despair, that's it. That's as good as it's going to get. You gotta force something. You gotta force yourself, even if it's little by little, or else there's just the only one that could get you out of that is you and yourself. And
and to know that if like this does happen, I mean, not that I hope it happens or anything to anyone else, but to try to remember those people for like the good things they did and like their achievements. And like he really, like, I don't know, to me it's just so amazing, I guess, that he was able to do all of this like while dealing with that, and keep pushing through to just keep going higher and higher, because like Marvel is basically as big as you can get in Hollywood, I feel, and this man did it all while fighting cancer. So like, what's your excuse, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and it's less along the lines of just like, you know, because it's very easy to go just like, this guy's got it really tough, and here I am bitching and moaning. I must seem like an asshole. You know, it's less that, because everybody has their individual struggles, and regardless of whether objectively or relatively one struggle is bigger than the other, struggle's a struggle. But it's to remind yourself that, you know, even though you're struggling, no matter what, nothing's going to get you out of that struggle if you don't do something about it, you know?
Yeah.
You just,
doing nothing is literally
doing nothing.
the worst thing you can do. And I mean, I know that firsthand for sure. I did nothing for a good while, and even though it can be nice to take a break, like, it's not to say that taking breaks is bad either, but
it's all about just not quitting. It's
yeah, if you feel like you're unhappy in a situation, or you feel like you want to achieve things, you literally got to go out there and get it, man. It feels like the bar, it's not that it's lower than before, but just like, it does feel that nowadays, well, maybe not to do it all with the pandemic or anything, but like, I don't know, I guess it sounds corny, but I feel that anything is possible as long as you just try. Like,
yeah, I mean, you just got to keep
I mean, you got to have a plan too, but just try every day. I don't know.
And the same thing happens with like relationships, man. It's so easy when you get in a fight with a significant other or a friend or all that stuff. It's so easy to get focused in that bad shit and all that stuff that we tend to like. Sometimes we get so caught up in our feelings where you're just like, no, I'm mad and I'm gonna be mad and I'm gonna be petty, and you never know when's it gonna be your last conversation, the last thing you ever said to those people you care about, and the last thing you want it to be is, you know, something that if you go back to remember, it's only gonna cause you regret. So you know, if you got a situation with someone where maybe you're at odds at the moment and all that stuff, but you know deep down that this is a relationship that its goods like heavily outweigh, you know, its bads and all that stuff, as long as it's not a toxic situation, of course. You know, this is another situation that reminds you that sometimes you just got to put that shit behind you. Talk it out if you have to talk it out, but, you know, just make amends, man. You don't know what you got until it's gone, man. It's so easy for us to forget.
Now that you bring that up, dude, I have literally a exact situation like that happen to me this week. And it might be kind of weird to get into it after what we just talked about, but I mean, we got plenty of podcasts still left.
Yeah.
So, even though you did say when it's toxic, it can be, and you know, you can excuse it, but I know I've talked to you a lot about like my relationship with like the friends I used to live with, like the other YouTubers and all that.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of had a falling out with a lot of them. So I hadn't really talked to like Sully at all for a while, but like he messaged me a couple of weeks ago, and like I just kind of left it because I didn't know how to like react to it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess like sometimes you do need time, but I couldn't just like leave it at that, knowing especially that like, yeah, if something was to happen, I just like, that's how it ended, you know?
Yeah.
So even though like shit still isn't going to be like before, just like sending that one message to try to
just make amends,
guess,
you know,
have closure.
Exactly.
Yeah, make amends.
You don't have
type
to
of
be
thing.
bestest friends again or all that. Sometimes it's just about, you know, if it's something that ultimately you guys are better off going your separate ways, it's still good to go your separate ways in a way where, you know, there's closure, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that closure is very important because it's no matter what kind of relationship you might have, like whether it's a friend or like a romantic or like even your family, like, you know, if you don't have a like an end, I guess, in your mind to it, that will always kind of linger in the back of your mind. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's definitely not good, I feel, either.
Yeah, and it's just about measuring, you know, obviously, you know, like I said, there's difference when you guys are just having a little falling out and a disagreement, or when a relationship is just straight up toxic. Because obviously if a relationship is straight up toxic, that's something you don't even have to fuck with anymore. You get your own closure.
Yeah.
You don't worry about that other person. But if you recognize...
So, I mean, I feel like, yeah, the way that I feel now is just like, you know, it's not going to be like before, but it does feel like, I guess it's on a neutral standing where I guess we both kind of have peace of mind about each other.
Exactly.
Which is as good as you can ask for it in certain situations.
In certain situations, for sure. But that's just life sometimes, man. Life doesn't wait up for you. Life doesn't have an agenda against or for you. Life just happens, and it's up to us ourselves to make of it what we got to make of it. Obviously, there's circumstances sometimes that make things a lot more difficult for different individuals. We all have our different experiences, but at the end of the day, what counts the most is the memories we make, the bonds, we keep and we work for, and, just making life what we need to make it, man. Even in situations like this year has just been nothing but awful. But we still got to do something.
Oh, shit, man. Yeah. No, I've definitely, even though it's been like this, I feel like this year I've learned a lot about communication specifically and how important it can be, again, in like any type of relationship.
Yeah.
So
that's
something that I feel like just is from now on, it's just going to stick with me, even though it's been like a shitty year, like it's been a good one for personal growth, I guess.
It's definitely been the kind of year of not only looking within yourself, what you really want to do and what you really have to do to get it, but also thinking a lot more outside of yourself. This has definitely been a year where I've had to think. I've always been good at the other side of that, of looking outside of myself and, considering other people. But this has definitely been a year where I've had to sit down and think about what I want and how I want to be treated and what I'm willing to take and what I'm not willing to take and a whole bunch of stuff. And, it's been difficult. I'm not going to lie. I've never been one to like fall into quote unquote depressions or stuff like that and all that stuff. But I have had my days where I have serious lack of motivations and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And I've been very emotional because this has definitely been that kind of year where everyone's on edge and, a lot of fights break out and a lot of disagreements break out because of the situation and because of the climate that have gotten me to like realize certain relationships I have and like how I wish to go about the rest of my life with the people around me and what I need for myself. It's been a very introspective year for sure. Like 100%. I agree in that notion with you, man. And I just hope that, just like with me and just like with you, I hope that, our viewers and just the people who, around the world have been able to figure things out because it can be very, very, very difficult, especially if you struggle with like emotional or mental, issues and stuff. It could be rough. Could be rough, especially in isolation like this. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, which is another reason why communication is so important, because that word alone, like it can mean a lot of things, but like just staying in touch with people during these times, like making sure like whoever the people you care about are good, like that's. Yeah. I feel like the most we can do now when we can't actually be together most of the time.
Exactly. It really put into perspective the reality of why humanity has progressed and thrived the way it has. And it's because of that sense of community and unity. Even with people us who tend to be mostly reclusive and all that stuff, we still need those connections, even if we do them in our way. It really fucking reminds you of that.
Like, imagine going through this, like, without... I mean, I guess it was way different back in the day, but, like, I can't imagine this without, like, cell phones or just phones in general.
It would have been awful, dude. And it has happened.
But I guess that's mainly because... Yeah, it has happened, exactly. But I think it's mainly because of how we've advanced, like, as a society, regardless of the meme. But, like, we have kind of drifted apart. Like, families don't really... it used to be that families all lived literally in the same house. Or like in the same neighborhood, and like over time we've slowly drifted away. And same thing with friends. Like most people nowadays, I think most of their closest friends probably don't even live near them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But we're able to like keep in touch thanks to like the internet, like cell phones and all that. So there are negatives to technology and all that, but there's also a lot of really positives. I mean, there's a reason why they were invented in the first place.
Exactly. So. That goes back to what we were saying, man. You really start to appreciate the little things that we take for granted every day, man. How much worse this all could have been, how it could still be, and we got to work for it to not be, But oh well, such is life.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's definitely, like you said, everyone's been feeling more and more on edge, and that's why I've been like, I think it's actually, even though it's terrible, everything that's happened, it's kind of helped me like get better at keeping in touch with like my family and other people that I care about.
Yeah.
And try to like rebuild a relationship basically, because ever since I like moved out on my own, I've been very much focused on myself, not in a selfish way, because I feel like there's like life is all about finding that balance between like, you know, doing things that are important for you, for your own life, but then also maintaining like, I guess, like other people are important too, you know. No one can do shit alone.
Exactly. Having
like,
friends around really gives you, you know, and friends that you generally care for really keeps you grounded. It gives you this sense of humility that I believe it's necessary for every human being to have in order to not be a shitty human being. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like humility is one of the more important aspects of the human, you know, ego. Not to get
It's all about finding that balance for sure. Because I know that a lot of people kind of, I think I did for a while too. Like I would always put other people before me because I thought it was selfish to like always only think about me. But
I used to have that same problem.
it's about
too.
literally finding that balance. Like it's not selfish to want to do things for yourself. You know, everyone's got to treat themselves every once in a while.
Where selfishness becomes a problem is when you do things for yourself that is in detriment,
that are hurting,
hurting other
like,
people and in detriment to other people,
directly influencing others like negatively. That's when I feel like you're being truly selfish.
But to prioritize yourself in certain situations, especially when it comes to your health, be it emotional, physical, or mental, that should not be stigmatized. Never should be. That should be the default, man. But it's sometimes, you know, it's good to recognize when you have a relationship with someone where sometimes you don't have a problem going out of your way or quote unquote inconveniencing yourself to help someone else, because I definitely have relationships like that, dude. I have my friends where like I do things for them and they're just like, dude, why would you go out of your way? Like, why would you inconvenience yourself? And it's just like, I don't know, dude. I adore you people. So for me, it really isn't a problem. Obviously, there's going to be some points where I'm just like, hey, I can't right now. You know, this is my me time. I need to give myself attention to me. But, you know, when I do it, just trust that I do it in a way where it's just like, I can handle it. But there are definitely those kinds of people who have the problem where it's just like they feel like they're only valued and are only valuable if they're valuable to other people, which is definitely a unhealthy way of doing things. If people only measure your worth in what you can give to them, it's usually not a very healthy situation to be in. You know, all relationships have to be mutual, man. It's all a give and take. And, you know, it can't just be all give, and all take. You know.
Yep.
Have to reach
it's
that
about
balance.
understanding each other, and that is definitely not easy, but communication, like, it's definitely it.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you feel like sometimes it can be hard to talk to someone, like, I don't know, just starting the conversation, you know, it happens a lot in romantic relationships where, you know, arguments are going to happen no matter what, but then there's always like that thing of like who's going to be the one to apologize or like open the conversation first. And it's like if you just leave it hanging, that's when the real problems come.
Yeah, when you don't address it and you just go like whatever, it'll blow over eventually. It never will. I promise you it never will, because eventually it will resurface and it'll be worse than last time.
Yep.
So if you do not talk things out, this is a big problem I've had with a lot of people in my past and still some people currently, where it's just like, hey, if there's an issue, just talk to me about it, man. I promise you it's going to be a lot worse if you continue to bury this shit and then have it resurface later down the line as kind of like pent-up aggressions or calling people out. You know, I know there are definitely some people who are different in a sense of just like sometimes they need a little bit of time to think things through and all that stuff, but there's definitely a difference in taking some time to think things through to then address it and literally just avoiding the problem. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or
trying to forget, because I feel like you don't really forget. No. You're just trying to avoid it.
Exactly. You're just compartmentalizing it, which is never good. You know, and you know, there are people who have different issues. We talked about it a lot on it's also depending on how you're raised. There are some people who just refuse to address a problem because according to them, if there's a problem, it means they're going to get punished, and they're more afraid of that than the relationship completely being destroyed, you know. It's kind of like a very overwhelming sense of self-preservation. But, you know, I just hope for people like that, they eventually realize that at the end of the day, when you drop dead and you're 6 feet under, you're not going to take anything fucking with you. you know, and that's it. So if you end all that on your own just because you were too afraid to come to terms with the reality that you are imperfect, just like everybody else, and you make mistakes just like everybody else, and you cause problems just like everybody else, and the only way to progress and like get better at these things, because you can never 100% fix them exactly because you're human. Mistakes will always happen, problems will always arise, and there's always something that you can fix and be better at. But the only way to do it is to acknowledge that and actively take the steps to do it. Because that's the problem with some people. Some people just want it to just magically happen, like someday, like a fairy tale, when they don't realize you have to force yourself through that shit, even if you don't like it, even though it makes you uncomfortable. You gotta put yourself through it, or else it's just not gonna ever get better. And sometimes I get frustrated because I feel like, how can people not see this? They get so caught up in how bad it feels that they don't think about that it only ever has to feel bad this time. And if you just address it, it might never have to feel this bad ever again. But if you're too focused on how bad it feels and how much you don't want it to feel bad, and then you just ignore it, I guarantee you it's gonna feel equally as bad or even worse later down the line when it happens again. It's a whole thing. And it baffles me, dude. It baffles me sometimes.
And that's exactly the problem with Nintendo right
Exactly. They keep doing these fucking remasters. They don't realize that they just keep hurting people.
And the freaking fans just love it, dude. They're eating it up.
They love
They're
the
never. I mean,
abuse.
I don't know actually, because I feel like it's kind of 50-50 nowadays. Where,
It definitely is.
But and I think that's also an issue. Like the people that disagree, or they think that it's like maybe this is kind of I don't know, waste. They go at it like in a very, very negative way. And I mean, Nintendo's not going to listen and just blind hate. You know, that's how they'll see it. It's not blind hate. Like, I feel that the people that
Nintendo
criticize
will listen to money.
any like video game or any like company in general, like people that criticize, I don't know, I feel like the companies usually see them as just like haters, even though sometimes they have a point.
Yeah. It's just the fucking internet is
It's just taking criticism is not easy,
Exactly.
but we all have to learn how to take criticism eventually.
And that's
like,
the root of
that's
it
just
all,
part of
man,
growing up.
dude. It's in our nature that we don't want to be fuck ups. No one wants to be a fuck up, but we all fuck up. And you just gotta come to terms with it, man. Sometimes criticism is valid. Sometimes it's very invalid. But maturity lies in the fact that you're able to recognize that. I like to think of it this way, man. People sometimes tend to blur the line in between who they are as people versus the actions they take as people. Some people tend to identify...
Ooh, I like this combo. This is like Persona, dude. I've been so into Persona recently, and not just the games, but like the philosophy behind the games. It's all like based around like literally... What was the word? Like, I guess philosophy, literally. The philosophy of like humans.
Yeah.
And like how we all kind of have a persona, which is who we are versus how we portray ourselves, basically.
Or perceive ourselves. Where that I feel like that's the issue of the human ego in general. People tend to blur that line where they believe from different sources what defines them. For some people, it's what other people think of them. For some people, it's what they think of themselves. For some people, it's their actions or like their belongings is what define them, or their legacy is what defines them. But and this is going to be a very bold statement, but they're all wrong.
Well, so what's the truth?
My truth is that no matter what someone says about you, no matter what you say about yourself, no matter what you own, what you have, what you work, at the end of the day, it's what you do that defines who you are. Because human beings can say whatever, you know, whether it's someone who's not you or you can say whatever it is you want, whether it's about someone else or about yourself. But if what you say or what you think about yourself is completely contradictory to the actions you take, I don't think that's a good sign of just like your own personal honesty. You know, you could walk around and say, yes, I'm a very generous and understanding person, and I go out of my way to have healthy conversations and try and understand people. But then every time you get into an argument, all you ever do is shut people down, say that their opinions are incorrect.
I'm like overstepping here, but I feel like, yeah, if you're like that, then that's sounds to me kind of like a mental issue.
And it usually is, dude, because perception is so tied to what goes on in your head. But sometimes people have a hard time realizing that you could say and think whatever it is you want, but if you do shit that is completely contradictory to what you say or what you think, people are gonna hold you more in scrutiny for the things you do than the things you say. Because
so when you say what you do, you're not talking about like just like your work. You're literally like your actions. Basically.
Because you can try to convince people that you're the most selfless and understanding purpose, but if everything you do is absolutely selfish and only out for yourself, what are they gonna believe?
I think that's a thing that's like the reason why cancel culture has been so on the rise too, because like people want to, I guess, be perceived on the internet as like saints, but then in reality we all have flaws. It's just some people obviously are more flawed than others, and some are just straight up like really bad people that might still try to portray themselves as good online or just to people in general, when really that's not who you are.
I mean, at the end,
and I guess that can be difficult though, because like if you're just a piece of shit, like, but you don't, I don't know, you wouldn't want to like, there are some people I feel that are mean, but they're not like like pieces of shit, you know?
That's something I was gonna get into too. Yep. Where it's just, I know exactly what you mean. Where it's just like kind of like even good people do bad things every once in a while. Right? You know, that's where like the complications lie. Because like, it's like I was explaining earlier, everybody makes mistakes, right? Obviously, we're not always going to do the right thing. And there are sometimes we're in moments of weakness when we do something that we end up regretting or that we know is wrong. But isn't that where the distinction lies too? Being able to recognize when the distinction of just like when you do something out of impulse and something out of weakness, or maybe like a mental issue like you explained, versus something that is legitimately and genuinely your character.
Yeah. Like, I mean, kind of tying it back, but a good example for this is in a recent, like, not recent, but like, I think the last like Instagram live stream that Chadwick did, where he was looking very skinny, and I think understandably everyone was worried because that's not, you know, what they're used to him looking like.
Most people thought he was doing it for a role.
He was
He was doing it for like a movie or something that he was gonna do.
Yeah. I guess that would make sense too. But regardless, like what you thought, there was like, if you were on the worried side, there are people that react by like expressing it in that way, like where, oh, are you okay, man? Or like, you seem like, is everything good? But then there's also some fans that I can only assume they were fans too, but the way that they like choose to word it, it comes off as so like just mean, I guess. Like, I don't know, man. It was really hard to...
self-centered, dude. There was a lot. I saw a lot of comments who were just like, "Oh my God, this is Black Panther. How is he gonna look like Black Panther by the next movie?" You know, just like
exactly. And that's the one that I remember the most. That like it kind of hurt me, dude. It was like, he lost the power of the Black Panther or something like that.
Yeah, and it's just like that's when you start realizing, like, dude, you never know.
And I think obviously they didn't know at the time that he had cancer, but still, like, it's about. Like, sometimes you do just type something out on impulse, you know, and you didn't mean it that way. But
there are definitely some people who their track of mind is that. How does this affect me, you know? Even if it has nothing to do with me. And that's exactly what I mean, dude. You usually can tell when a person is, like, genuinely someone who is self-centered versus not. You know, just to give an example, I'm not going to say any names, but I've gone through things with friends where, like, you know, they preach and they speak and they say things that seem good and seem great, you know, And then,
but then they never actually do those things.
They either never actually do those things, but the action they take are completely contradictory to the things that they preach. Where you start
actually, I have some friends like that too, or I've had.
Yeah, where you start to like think, where it's just like, wow, these people just say this shit to look good. You know, these people just say these things because they recognize that it's the right thing to say and it's the thing they should be doing it. But when they actually go about taking these actions, they don't do it. All that matters to them is how they look to people and how people perceive them. And it kind of makes you go just like, how do you live that way? You know, how can you live like that?
It's really hard to be friends with people like that too. Like I've had to cut out some people like that in my life because by being associated even with them, it just feels like I don't know.
It feels
I guess
like you're bringing your own quality of life down by being surrounded by those because you can't trust them. You kind of lose that trust, dude, because it's just like you're like helping to promote that fake person, basically, that persona that they try to be, but they're not really that way. And you know, it's just like
and it really sucks, like knowing how someone truly is, but then like seeing how they portray themselves, but like I don't know, you feel like you want to say something, but it's not your place.
Yeah, it feels like you don't know which side to believe. You don't know which is the real them. And it's hard to convince yourself that obviously the real them is the part of them that's taking the action, not saying the words.
Exactly.
But especially when it's such a long-term bond, you know, or maybe at some point they were different and they were good and then they just changed somewhere along the way. It's difficult, you know. And the one that this is how I've tried to carry myself throughout my life. I do not like lying. When I've grown up in my life with the people around me and my family and a lot of friends, I've been surrounded a lot of people who are just way too comfortable with lying. And ever since when I was a kid, I never liked it because even as a kid, I was able to recognize you're never gonna get away with this. Eventually, it's gonna come out. There's no such thing as keeping a lie up forever, no matter what. It could be the smallest little thing. It will come out. So I've never been able to understand people who could so easily be deceptive and lie, regardless of the intention. I know there are some people who do it because they actively just want to get ahead. They don't care who they fuck over. And some people who do it just to fuck over people. And there's some people who do it just to protect themselves because they're scared. You can usually go through most people's lies and recognize that most people lie out of fear. But at the end of the day, lying and living a life within a lie is going to do a lot more damage long term than the short discomfort or pain that you could ever gain from telling the truth.
Yeah, I think that's something that I still struggle with, to be honest. And it's not as bad as you're making it out to be. Because, like, for example, I'm the type of person that can, like, in the moment, I'll think of something, like, really cool that I want to do and just say it out loud because I'm that hyped about it. But then, like, the next day I'll forget. So, like, for example, I don't know.
That's not.
They're like very small lies, you know. But
that's less lying and more like dropping the ball a little bit. That's
exactly.
And we all do that shit where we're just like, oh my god, I can't wait to do this thing. I'm definitely gonna do it. The next day comes around, you're just like, I don't know about that. That's different.
But it can still hurt, though, when other people are involved, and then you get them along with it.
But it's not actively malicious, but it's still a situation like what you're trying to say. Like, it still causes that sense of just like, you fuck someone's expectation
you set up
over.
For disappointment, basically.
Exactly. But I mean more like active, lying, where people are just like, one example I could say is, I had a friend of mine who used to do this to me a lot when I was back in like high school, where they would go, I would tell them like, hey, when are we going to do this thing, and they would go like, oh, yeah, no, sure, tomorrow for sure. Or I'll call you and I'll let you know and blah, blah, blah. But I always can tell, at first, obviously, because it was new, I didn't. But as more time went on, I could tell that they never meant it. Because then whenever the time came, they would either completely ghost me, come up with some convenient excuse that eventually I would figure out was always bullshit, or just lash out at me for calling him out on it. Where, you know, there are those people who are too afraid to tell you, hey, this is either it's not going to happen, I just don't want to do it, I don't feel like doing it, or, you know, odds are that I lost my train of thought for a little bit. No, our odds are that I'm
it's
not
what
going
you
to be
said, though. Yeah, so, some people do it out of fear, and then some people do it because they're just assholes, basically.
They're more afraid of how the other person is going to react in that moment, that they rather lie or evade it, not recognizing that it's only going to make the person react worse later down the line.
Exactly.
Because eventually they're gonna you know, they're gonna recognize, you know, they're gonna be on to you eventually, and then.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier, that I've been learning this year, that even though sometimes, out of fear, you might like say that in the moment, it is better to just come clean. Like
hey, no, it's
just,
not.
like, for example, for me, I could schedule with someone to like record like a collab or something, you know, and then it just, when the day comes, it doesn't happen. And it's not because like, I don't know, it could be any situation, but the better thing to do is always to just let the person know, like, this isn't going to work out like right this day. And if you truly do mean to try to do it a different time, then say it. Otherwise, just be like, it's not going to happen. You
Exactly.
know? It's better to just tell them right then and there than keep prolonging it.
Because, I feel, and, you know, I know like I said, there's some mental issues and different diagnoses out there that make those kinds of things difficult. But me personally, I've never been able to rationalize that notion of trying to avoid an immediate situation and not expecting to feel the consequences of that later down the line. Because you always will. If you don't address things when they need to be addressed, it's going to cascade. Always. With anything.
I've literally had it happen both ways, too, where, like, the exact thing that I just said, like, I had a friend where we were trying to make a video together, and every time I would just keep saying, like, we're going to get it done, but then I would never actually take the action. And then eventually that friend, like, you know, blew up on me, understandably, because he just got tired of it. Like, I was just lying straight up. And I felt really bad. And it was, like, a thing that ever since then I've realized, like, if you don't really mean it, or if you're not going to make the attempt even to try, again, that's why the main, like, key thing to me is always just at least to try. If you're not going to try, then don't even, like, say it.
Exactly.
You know?
That's why I've been super appreciative of you a lot, especially recently, dude. You've been very, when I tell you, like, hey, are we going to do the podcast today, or are we going to record this thing today? You've been very good at just telling me, like, hey, no, I'm busy with some edits, you know, or hey, today I separated it as a date day with Karen and all that stuff. And I appreciate that, like, so fucking much. You have no idea, dude, because I have too many other people in my life who are just like, wishy-washy with everything, and it fucking pisses me off. So I appreciate when someone just tells me, like, hey, it's not gonna happen today, and I don't care what reason it is, dude. You know, it doesn't make a difference to me whether you're gonna go on a date or have a special day with Karen, or you're just busy with your channel or some other edits, or even if you're just feeling under the weather. The fact that you're able to just tell me and be very clear with me doesn't leave me on the fence, so then I could just reroute whatever I have to do, work on something else, I don't know, do something else, instead of, like, just staying there waiting and then delaying and postponing a whole bunch of other things because I'll never know when you'll pop up. You know what I mean? So I've been, you know, that in itself goes to show the difference it makes, because not only does it make it easier for things to fall into place and reschedule things, it establishes a relationship of trust where you know and you're comfortable with being upfront with each other regardless of the situation. And I feel like that's something that most people don't think about, exactly in how many different ways that those simple actions can affect a long-term relationship. You know, that it's usually not just about the thing at hand, but how it affects everything else going forward. And I feel like there's nothing more important in any relationship to have other than that communication and that trust, man. Because once you start losing trust for someone, it becomes a slippery slope, and it's usually very difficult to regain that trust. You know?
Oh, dude, I've been watching a lot of. I don't know if you've heard of the show 90 Day Fiance. I might have talked about it in a previous episode. I don't remember.
I've heard about it. I've never watched it. I don't even know what it's about.
It's where the No Neck Ed meme came from.
Oh, that's where No Neck Ed is from? That's crazy.
Yeah. So that show is basically, it's all trust. It's like a person wants to get married to someone from another country in the U.S. Like they're an American person wants to get married to another country person. So that person comes to the U.S. on a visa for 90 days, and they have those 90 days to decide if they want to get married or not, basically.
Yeah.
Because the visa only lasted 90 days. And, like, one of the things that, like, happened in a recent season I was watching is this guy, like, I don't know why the frick he did that, but they got married, and, like, literally a couple days after, he downloads Tinder. And, like, now the trust is just completely broken. And it's, like, he expects the chick to just forgive him and, like, shit's cool, but that's not how it works, you know? Once the trust is broken, like you said, it's, like, really hard to get it back.
Super
and that can happen with friendships, too. Like, the example I gave, you know? You lie so many times that people are not going to believe you anymore, and that trust is broken.
Exactly. And, you know, it's just, like...
I mean, it happened, like, with YouTube, too. I would, like, well, I mean, I guess it wasn't as drastic, but a lot of times I would, like, say I'm going to make this one video and then never get around to it, you know, and slowly you lose trust with your viewers, too.
Yeah.
Like, it can happen with a lot of different relationships, go beyond just, like, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever non-binary relationships, you know.
But it's just, it's just... You tend to, like, really devalue. I think it goes back to the whole little things argument I was saying, that we tend to really forget how important those little parables they tell us when we're little kids, and little lessons that they teach us when we're little kids.
Yeah.
Exactly how hard they carry over to adult life, man, because they always tell us as kids, don't lie, you know, and don't do these things, that you don't realize that when you carry them over to your adult life, they usually come with a lot worse consequences than how they did when you were a kid.
It's true. It's like you think of it as like a little kid thing, but then you realize the real importance of it like way later. And like that's all the process of maturing.
That's why I cannot bring myself to lie, dude. There's like, I could do it for a joke, or whether it's like a little harmless thing and all that stuff, but I have a physical response when I even think about lying that just makes me feel sick, and I can't do it.
Oh, dude, I'm so good at bluffing though. It's
bluffing.
It's crazy.
No, I'm super good. like I'm telling you, when it comes to like games, or when I have to like fuck with somebody as a joke or something, I have an amazing poker face, and I'm super great.
But that just goes to show that like if you were an asshole or like a shitty person,
I'd be a psychopath.
Like
I'd be a sociopath, dude. I'd be like,
it wouldn't be hard.
Yeah,
but
the Zodiac killer, the Ted Bundy, all of those motherfuckers, child's play, baby shit, compared to what I'd be if I was fucking cracked.
Oh my God.
Like if I was cracked, I'd be out of it. The world is lucky that I physically...
Let's hope Gabe doesn't crack, guys. Leave a like.
Leave a like
so
and a comment,
Gabe
or else
crack.
Gabe will go fucking insane. And it's like, but when I think about genuinely lying to people, or people I care about, I cannot bring myself to do it, because I cannot bring myself to think of how I could lose that trust. And that's why whenever I catch someone lying to me, it's like for me, it's like the deepest hurt I can imagine. It's happened to me before, and it could be for something not super big, but it's still, the intention of the lie was to be deceptive. It hurts a lot, dude. People don't recognize how much it fucking hurts to be lied to, especially by people you really care about, or that you have high expectations about, you know. And that's the other reason why you have to carry yourself as a person of honesty and sincerity, because, and you know, there's another argument that people tend to equate honesty and sincerity with naivety, which isn't true. You could be a very honest and sincere person and not be a complete fucking gullible idiot, you know. And you know, it's all about the balance, I guess, dude. That's as best as I could define it. Just
balance. So we already know the thumbnail for this one has got to be Thanos. Oh god, maybe that wouldn't be a good idea with the whole Chadwick thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I have an idea for a thumbnail. I was just gonna say that Nintendo's the root of all evil, or something like that, to get the clicks. But
yeah,
no, there's people really tend to take it for granted, especially with all the media we consume, with all the dark media of people just saying like the world isn't good, people are naturally evil, everything sucks, where it kind of motivates people to not be good, and that's where my argument of being able to distinguish what is being good versus being gullible, like if we all lend ourselves to that despair, I'm not saying to carry yourself in a way where you don't take life seriously or realistically, but ultimately, the nature that permeates between yourself is to be good. Because if not, then you're just another piece in the puzzle that makes everything shit. And you don't want to be another piece in the puzzle that makes everything shit.
But I mean, not everyone believes that, though.
I know.
That's the thing. I mean,
at the end of the day, it's just another philosophy in life. That's just how I like to carry my life. And how I've been able to lead a relatively happy life with a relatively healthy relationship.
I know we agree on that. That I think for both of us, like trying to be good definitely just makes us feel better, and in turn makes our life better. So we always try, but I mean, yeah, I guess not everyone works the same. So
no, that's for sure. But one thing I do stand by, where it's just like I find this to be just the fact and the truth of life, is that honesty is one of the best qualities you could have. And that's not just for good shit, dude. Even when you gotta honestly tell someone to their face that they're being a fucking asshole, you do it. Because it's important to be honest, even if they're their closest friends, dude. I feel, and this is gonna get very, very sappy, but I feel like one of the more important things in life, one of the bigger reasons to even live this life, is genuine friendship. And sometimes when a friendship is real, people tend to think like, oh, friends are just supposed to be the people that only give you the good times and you only go to when things are bad and you want to cheer up and all that stuff. But no, friends are people too, and they're a relationship too. And sometimes, there's this one phrase that I don't remember where I got it from right now, but it's just like, it's often brave to face your enemies in battle. But it's usually equally or even more an act of bravery to face your friends.
Damn.
Where sometimes, whether it's you in the relationship or your friend, you're not always going to be in the right. And if you genuinely care for that person, you want that person to be able to progress and do the right things. Because you recognize that if they don't do the right things, it's going to fuck their life over. More than your friendship.
I believe that is what the kids call real ones.
Exactly, the real ones, dude. The real G's, posted up the block doing that gang shit. It's all about recognizing that you're gonna butt heads and you're gonna have disagreements and things are gonna happen. But at the end of the day, you do what you do because you want what's best for each other. And sometimes your friends are going to get up in your business. And your friends are going to tell you, hey, that thing you're doing is fucking stupid. Whether you think it's stupid or not. And sometimes it's going to take a while to realize, maybe the thing I'm doing is kind of fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But you got to recognize when you really have something good going, dude. When you really have people in your life who are looking out what's best for you. Not to get anything out of you. Just because they want to see your life be good. Fucking dude, hold on to that shit tight.
And it can hurt, like, to hear the truth sometimes, but like I think deep down why it hurts is because you know it's the truth.
True. Exactly.
And
you don't want to admit that you fucked up or you're doing something that's fucking you up, because sometimes we can do something that feels good but we know it's wrong. And sometimes we attach ourselves more to the good feeling than to the reality that this could do us damage. But you got to come to terms with it, man. Sometimes the good things isn't what's good for us.
I think talking about all this stuff too, like even just between us right now, and I mean other people that have these types of conversations with their friends, it's leading to a better like mental health for everyone as well. Because like, I don't know, these things like are part of life, whether we want them or not. And you know, it just basically the lesson to be learned today is not talking about it at all is always going to be worse.
Always. It's always going to be worse, man. Don't
Always.
run away from your problems. Don't push away the people who genuinely care about you. Know what you've got before it's gone, and when you've got something good, you grab onto that. It is not a weakness to accept that you have vulnerabilities. It is not a weakness to accept that you deeply care for people. You know, don't be afraid to be weak, because we all have it. Recognize your strength within the weaknesses. Recognize, you know, that, you know, apes together strong, okay?
Sounded like Mr. Miyagi out here.
It's true, man, dude. Sometimes I get possessed by the spirits of old wise people, man, but it's just what I advocate, man. It's love, you know, real genuine love, not the funny little butterflies, not the blushy cheeks, not the little kissy smoochy sexies. No, it's genuine, that quote unquote selfless feeling of love, where you want what's best for yourself and for the people around you, and you do it for no other reason other than to do it. You know, that's what really, that's life. That's life to me. That's what keeps me going. When shit's getting rough. That's life. When shit's getting rough and shit's getting sad, that's like my default go-to to think about. That things are bad, but if I just keep going and I hold on to those things that I know I love and that I know love me, I'll be okay.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man.
Oh.
I really couldn't.
What a deep introspection we went into there. This was another therapy. It's gonna be another therapy session. Another therapy cast. But man, boy, did I need it. I definitely needed it. I don't know about you, but I definitely needed to just talk about it.
These things, like, I feel are natural with the current state of the world. Like most conversations I have with like my uncle or like just friends, you know, that this is how it goes sometimes, even if you don't mean to talk about stuff.
Yeah, we never come in with a plan for these podcasts. We just press the record button and we just talk about whatever the fuck comes out. But besides, there's not a lot of gaming news other than the Nintendo
there
stuff.
wasn't really, like, especially not good news this week. There was, like, I don't know.
I mean, what the fuck were we going to talk about? There. Airplane Simulator? I don't think so. You know. But, you know.
Bowser being a furry?
I guess. Oh, yeah, that's true. Bowser is being a furry. But oh, well.
And we didn't even mention that one. But, yeah, I mean, it's not that big a deal because, like, they're just ports. And Nintendo, get your shit together. You know, love each other, everybody. I have a delicious plate of food that has been brought in front of me right now, and it's getting pretty hard to resist right now.
And I have a delicious...
You can wrap this one up for you.
I have a delicious shit to take. Us. I have to take a poopy.
Oh, my God. It's how the roles have reversed.
Yeah, this time I'm you and you're me. But that's the end of the podcast for this time. Stay tuned for the next one. Oh, and just wanted to mention... We started, I think I mentioned this in one of the other podcasts, but we finally started one of the bigger shows that we've been planning on doing for a little time, and it's been a lot of fun. You know, what we've been doing on Saturdays. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm super excited. I'm thinking of just like maybe getting like 5 episodes down, editing them all together, and then starting to release it. So it should be anywhere around this month, October, at the latest, probably November. But I think y'all are really gonna like it because it's been a lot of fun. Just like it's just been genuinely fun.
Yeah, it's been really fun to record. Yeah. I guess we're not spoiling it, but you guys will dig it.
Oh yeah, so look forward to that. Oh, that's the podcast. Get the fuck out of here.